do what makes you happy, because anything, this life, it'll get to you. And as long as you're not trying to kill anybody, I think you're pretty safe. Just express you and not mind your own business. Be safe out there, blah, blah, blah. But if we are going to be upset about blackface and not be upset about little kids being taken by men and doing horrible things, we've got issues.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Henry C.
And the queen of stream. That's a big name.
The queen of stream, QueenB. QueenB, how you doing? It's been a week.
It's been a week. It's been a week. That's basically what it has been. It's been a week.
It's been a week. I got my ginger biscuit.
You're very, very lucky. Yeah. I had ginger. I made ginger buns the other day.
Ginger buns?
So instead of Cinnabons, I made them with ginger spice.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's pretty
cool.
Was
she one of the Spice Girls?
No. Yes, she was. Yes. I don't think she was as tasty as my cinnamon buns, but ginger spice, sorry. But these were tasty. But I made them again in the muffin tin so I don't overeat them. And they just puff up, and they're just so delicious.
Can I tell you a secret?
Nope.
I would overeat them. I would overeat them anyway. I would eat the whole freaking tray. That's what I would do. Sorry.
That's it. Yeah, I try, but I think this way I can either fool my mind into thinking I'm eating less if I just have like 3 or 4 of them opposed to one big bun. Yep, that's a cup of a week moment.
You know, what is the cup of the week? Well, let's talk about the movie first. It's Halloween. Happy Halloween.
You know what? Yeah, Halloween is Halloween supposed to be happy? It's the at least in North America, it's about dressing up and turning everything into gooiness, and suddenly every female costume has turned sexy. Like, that's supposed to be scary.
See, but I think it's more about irreverence. I think it's about
Well, with you, yes, you are seeing the irreverence, but most people don't see it. I see it as an opportunity, at least when I was a kid, an opportunity to get free candy, and an opportunity to try to outsmart my older sister, because she'd take all the mini chocolate bars and leave me with the crappy candy, those orange ones. Oh,
candy corn.
Yeah. And,
it's like those are made out of paraffin wax. That's really
something. They were just horrid. They just ruined your teeth. I remember Halloween as an opportunity in being able to manipulate my mom, my Jamaican mother, into letting me go outside by myself with a group of girls to beg for candy at rich white people's house, and she did. And it was actually a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup, so anything on my face was a mask. So put on some makeup, put on a Halloween mask, and called it a day.
You couldn't even do character makeup?
Nah, I didn't. We just didn't have money to do that. And anything that we created, and I think that's where part of my creativity comes from. Is because, when I asked my mom for something, it wasn't about I had to create it. Everything I created. And even if I remember finding out how I drew, like, that's what I did. Halloween is just that thought process for me, just creating things and all that gooey stuff. So this movie was kind of right up my alley. It wasn't too spooky, and it had a lot more humor in it, which I liked, because I think Halloween, you can't take it too seriously. It should be, if nothing else, fun.
Absolutely fun and irreverent. Trick or treat. It's all about trick or treat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
This movie, Arsenic and Old Lace, was made in 1944 by one of my favorite directors, Frank Capra. He also did It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
many of those wonderful heartfelt things, those little bits of Americana that are just so uniquely American. And
Mhm.
this story is very uniquely American, I think. Do you know what old lace means?
Old lace. I'm gonna say no, and I bet
It,
you're gonna tell me.
I'm going to tell you, it's basically, it means old ladies.
Oh,
It's
okay.
another way of saying old ladies, because this is a story about two old ladies
Right.
who have history in New York, Brooklyn, since the 1600s. Their family goes back, and they live right next to a graveyard, which gives it kind of a spooky feel a little bit. And their nephew is a writer, and he's written all about the do's and don'ts, well, mostly don'ts around marriage, claiming that he was always going to be a bachelor, played by Cary Grant, the luscious and gorgeous. And man, did that man have a fine ass. I'm just saying, Cary Grant. And he he marries the pastor next door's daughter,
Right.
and everyone's all up in arms because he wrote the manual about why not to get married. So he was being a hypocrite.
Oh, okay.
And we discover pretty quickly that these two sweet, lovely, sweeter than molasses little old ladies have been they've been serial killers for some time. They have 12 bodies buried in their basement.
Oh, that ain't nothing. 12 bodies. Oh,
That's
please.
nothing. And then their other nephew thinks he's Teddy Roosevelt. So
Yes,
he's
and I love, you know, um, he is a very memorable character. Um, I remember Cary Grant as his character very well because I'm not used to seeing Cary Grant as a comic actor or a
yes,
comedic actor. So I remembered how he played out, but that character who
very broad comedy, very screwball
yeah,
comedy.
very Abbott and Costello-ish. I
Yes,
mean, I love that kind of quick humor, that vaudeville
fascinating.
humor. I call it vaudeville humor. I don't know why,
Yeah,
but I
it
call
is. It does have
it
its roots
vaudeville
in
humor.
vaudeville. Absolutely, it
Yeah,
does.
I do I like that kind of stuff. It's simplistic, and it just reminds me, even though, as I said, I love those days, the 20s and 30s and 40s, despite the racial tension and bullshit was going on there. But
Gotta
I
say it.
mean, yeah, I mean, I don't want anybody to think I'm naive and going, oh, it was such a delightful time. No, I'm sure it was horrid. But if we could put all those things aside in another imaginary dimension, those are times that I loved because the humor it was different. You know what I mean? A woman, the woman dressed to go to the store, wore gloves, and men took off their hats. Besides all the
Yeah.
bullshit, and even the humor was very classic. It was very genuine and very new and raw. If you were to kind of do that comic now, people would find it. Um,
They would
I,
call
I,
them
I
dad jokes.
yeah, they did
They're kind
dad
of
jokes,
corny.
exactly. Dad
They're
jokes, and
kind
I
of
don't know why because it's such a, you know, I guess jokes right now in these days have to be a lot more complex. There's got to be a delivery system. There's got an interweaving system, and it's got to be a big long. And our humor has changed because our TV viewing has changed, and the world around us has changed from we are laughing. But that's why I love this movie. Just watching Cary Grant just do his little bit of slapstick and the humor of the time. That's what made me
it's
so.
well, and it's definitely corny, and that's
Yes,
why it's
I
bad humor,
loved it.
because it's totally corny and simplistic. But there's something I find it a relief that I don't have to figure out what the joke is. I don't
Mm.
have to figure out, like, think about what did they mean by, now I get it. There's
Yeah.
none of that. It's so in your face. This is the joke. Here's the punchline. Laugh and a take right to the camera, right?
Yes.
How many times did Cary Grant do a take right to the camera? Like,
Right.
you're in on the joke.
You're
And in the theater, we call it breaking the fourth wall,
Ooh,
right?
very
Because
nice. Love
there's
the
an
term. Love the
invisible
term.
wall between the actors and the audience. There's this invisible wall. And so when you break the fourth wall, you're addressing directly the audience. And I love how he does that, but he does it with a look. There are some films where they break the fourth wall where they turn to the camera and say, "Why am I asking you?" You know, and they're actually talking to the audience. He doesn't do that,
right,
except with just a take, like a look to the audience, like right to the camera. Um, but it's really, I don't know. I don't think it's dated. I don't find it to be dated. I think it's timeless. And
well, speaking about timeless, what was your favorite Halloween costume growing up as a kid?
I had two.
That was another random segue, just in case any of the audience members.
Another random segue by QueenB.
What is it? What was it? What is it?
Um, my two favorite costumes, I have to tell you both.
Right.
The first one was when I was probably about 4 or 5 years old. And I dressed as Superman, and my Uncle Mark dressed completely in black with, I don't know if, I can't remember if he painted his face or wore a hood.
Right.
But he was completely in black, head to toe, with black gloves, black shoes, everything. And he was really buff.
Right.
I said buff.
Become a
Buff.
random segue within a random segue now.
Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do?
Making right here.
Halloween. So
we
what he
just
did
made
was,
history.
he grabbed me, and I was tiny, and he was buff, and he held me above his head and ran down the street with me. So to anybody looking, because the street was dark, I looked like I was Superman flying.
Oh,
I love that. I remember it. That's one of my happiest moments as a child because I felt so cool. And then my other one was I painted my face like a Salvador Dali painting.
Okay.
He's a avant-garde sort of abstract artist, and so he did like the droopy clocks and the droopy eggs and the weird elephants with the long spindly legs and all that.
Okay.
Right? The lady with the lobster on her boobs, that kind of thing. And so I did like a tree I used acrylic paints, and I painted a tree in the middle of my face, and then I had a watch on my cheek, and I had a droopy egg going down the curl of my jawline, and then I had a big cloak and a bolero hat, and it was really cool. I loved that. I wish I had a picture of it.
Okay. So you were rocking the Halloween get up. So good for you. Good for you.
Before my son passed, I loved Halloween. I loved Halloween with him. We had a great time doing Halloween. And, I don't do the holidays the way I used to.
I know what you mean. I feel you. I know what you
Not
mean.
fun for me, I guess. What about you, QueenB? What was your favorite costume or costumes?
As a kid, I didn't really, when we were kids, you'd go to the store and what was available, whether we saved a couple of pennies, you would get this plastic outfit with a painted thing and then this plastic mask.
Plastic mask. I still remember the smell of those plastic masks outgassing.
Yeah, and the elastic band behind it. When I got older, I went to Halloween parties really just to get stoned and get laid. I mean, it was just fun. I didn't really get dressed up. I was really like, I don't know. But I think my best Halloween moment, and I dedicated to the girls from my childhood. We all got dressed up and went to a Halloween party, and we got high as anything, and we just chuckled. And it was one of those moments, for me where I was really aware of this is going to be something I need to remember because life is moving in such a way. I was so conscious of the that time. And I think I know this is horrible and this is very it wasn't a sexy one. It was just a nurse. It was a nurse.
It wasn't a sexy nurse. It was just a nurse.
It was, but how can you not? It was short and my boobs were showing. I guess it was.
It was a sexy nurse.
But anyways, I just remember being in the room and we're all smoking and going, why are we even at this party? We just came to just hide out in the corner and get high. And it was this is a disclaimer. I do not say anybody's smoking pot. If you just, that's no. I was old enough. I was legal.
And now it is legal. So
and now it is legal, but the age limit. There's an age limit. That's why I'm not trying to, But anyways, that was my best Halloween moment. And it was being in that space and realizing what fun it was to be my age at that time. I think I was in my 20s and it was, I don't even think we even knew the people who were having a party. We just kind of showed up and since everybody was walking through the door, we just kind of went, okay, let's go. And we just kind of
costume, so nobody's really gonna recognize.
Yeah, so that was my moment. That was my moment.
Well, I think the whole sexy part of Halloween for adults, obviously, although.
Why is there a correlation with Halloween costume and sexy? Why?
Before I go there, I have to do my little Papa moment. Papa moment. It's a new segment. Papa.
I am a little disconcerted at the over-sexualization of little girls at Halloween. I have seen pictures on Facebook of little girls in heavy makeup and fishnets. What's going on, QueenB? Tell me as a woman, tell me as a Black Jamaican woman, what is going on with the over-sexualization of girls? No, I can't. You see, growing up, here's the deal. Growing up, I was a girl who was, I was very underdeveloped. I didn't have anything to show in the days. I just think I wasn't big girl, just a very normal child. And even then, leaving my childhood home because of sexual abuse, I was very aware of sexuality despite the fact of being a certain way. You didn't have to look a certain way, you just had to be vulnerable. And I remember being a teen and going through my teens and having these girls put on this sexualization, especially at Halloween. Suddenly a police officer was a really sexy police officer. That's the message these kids are talking about when it just comes to Halloween, because at the end of the day, you want to and not see a sexy police officer walking in stilettos and fishnet stockings. I'm not the girls doing that, is it? I'm so, look, this is my Papa crease right here. I see teenagers back in my time. In that way, dressing, and the reason I'm saying all that history is because I notice these things. I'm hypersensitive to these things. Right. So I don't understand why it's necessary to be a sexy pumpkin or a sexy nurse or a sexy witch or a sexy anything. The only thing I can think of is that every woman who has a career or who is doing something has a secret urge to be sexy, and the only time it comes out is Halloween, and these little girls are emulating it because sexy is attention. You think that's attention? I don't know, because I think it's their parents who are dressing them that way. That's what bothers me. That's what happens right here. No, I think little girls, I think kids are as a mom, and the moms are parents saying, yes, I don't think parents want you to wear this. I think little girls are seeing this and realizing that sexy gets attention, and what better place than Halloween to get away with it, because it's a gray area. It's a gray area when it comes to Halloween. But why are the parents saying yes? That's really the question, because it's up to the parents. Ultimately, it's the responsibility of the parents to guide their children and say, honey, when you are an adult, you can wear whatever the fuck you want. But when you are a child under my roof, I have to protect you, and I have to make sure you're not raped in an alley. I have to make sure that you're not putting out a message you don't want or understand that other people, boys and girls, men and women, are going to potentially receive, right? I agree with you, but I think some parents have this notion, like you say, oh, it's always Halloween, let her put on the miniskirt, but never again, this is an exception, and they don't realize the truth about it. That we can't let things like that fly, because our holidays now are not even for the tradition's sake now, they're for money's sake. You know what I mean? It's not even tradition anymore, so this has nothing to do with tradition. But we have to protect our little girls and little boys. Like even I haven't seen little boys in songs or anything. No, but here's the thing though. When a little boy goes, I want to be a Halloween character, what do they call it? They have these 8-pack plastic things that they put around their unrealistic body image, yeah. No, there's that unrealistic body image thing too. And maybe that you're right, that is the male counterpart to the little girl dressing up like Pretty Woman. And I can't, but a little. I understand the whole superhero part of it. And there are girls dressing like Wonder Woman, and she's But again, just like the superheroes. Why does Wonder Woman and all these ones always have this crotch panty look? And why can't she just dress like she's going to fight? Like she always has to be in high heels and a bikini. You know when she does that high kick, her labia is going to slip out. Or her tampon string. I mean, come on, like, what is... Listen, if you are an adult grown woman, you can do whatever the flip you want. I'm not going to be an asshole and say, you should not dress like sexy girls. No, but I'm saying don't sexualize children and give them a false sense of those images in their bodies. And their proper rants, because we got to talk about this movie, because there's nothing sexy about this movie. No, one more thing. It's all tied in, because if I am sexualizing myself at Halloween and my child looking at me, I mean, that's what she's going to do, right? So that's not if you have the conversation with her or him and say, listen, this is reality, this is fantasy. I don't understand. Papa's going to wear a thong. wear my mankini like Borat. But you can do that when you're an adult if you want to. But this is why I'm doing it. This is why I think it's funny. And if it traumatizes you, I'm sorry, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I would never wear a sexy Halloween costume in front of my children. I'm sorry, I would not. You know what my parents did? I remember. My mom went out and she got some white sheets and she dyed them brown. And she turned them into bats. So they were like these sacky bat thing. You know, they had like faces painted with the ears and they were brown bats. And it was very clever. And it wasn't sexy at all. And I thought that was creative. You know, I was really lucky that my mom was she stepped out of the box in that sense. But she got older when we were older. Or when we were, we moved away. I think I remember seeing pictures of her as like sexy Annie. Little Orphan Annie or something, or something like that. But she was in her 20s or 30s. Well, the disco generation.
Well, speaking about 2030s, these two old laces definitely were not 20s and 30s.
Thank you for getting
Segue. You turned,
baby. They were not. They were probably, they were probably in their 50s.
Oh, that's generous. Really, 50?
I think they were. I think they might have even been in their 40s. I'm gonna have to look that up. I remember my grandparents. My grandparents were in their 40s and 50s when I was a kid, and I thought they were old.
Well, that being said, 40 and 50.
And I'm 56.
It looks different. Isn't it amazing that 40 and 50 in that time it's very different what 40 and 50 looks in this time. Very, very different.
I look a lot younger without facial hair. I have to say.
You're gorgeous. Oh, don't
you? Silver fox
gorgeous.
Working.
There you're gorgeous. See?
But I love these actresses. These
ladies and men
were amazing. Josephine Hall and Adair. They played the roles on Broadway. And I loved Cary Grant.
Charge! That's all I can remember in the movie is Charge!
His other brother, right? The Teddy Roosevelt. He thought that the staircase was San Juan Hill, and he'd charge up the stairs and slam the door, and then the clock always the clock.
Oh gosh!
But listen, there was a third brother. Speaking of Halloween masks and why this is a scary movie.
Oh, the one that looked like Frankenstein.
Yeah, the one that looked like Boris Karloff. And it was a running joke throughout the film. Massey, Raymond Massey played the character.
Okay.
Jonathan. And they made him up to look like Boris Karloff. But Boris Karloff, who originated the role of Frankenstein and the Mummy and all those horror movies, he played the role on Broadway. And so it was really a funny joke when he would walk on stage and they'd say, "You look just like Boris Karloff." It's that kind of humor, right? Because he was Boris Karloff.
Right.
But in this one, it was Raymond Massey because Boris Karloff didn't want to recreate the role on the screen for some reason. I don't know if the money wasn't good enough or what. But Raymond Massey, I thought, did a great job. And they had him in this, like he had scars all over his face. And because he had multiple plastic surgeries, he was a mass murderer.
Right.
And his little cohort, Dr. Einstein, played brilliantly by Peter Lorre, who's this little alcoholic, nervous, nebbish, as we say.
Yes.
And he had done plastic surgery right after seeing a Boris Karloff movie, and so he made him look like because that was the image in his head. Right. And they show up with a dead body in the backseat of their car, and they're escaping the law. And so he comes back to his childhood home where he traumatized everybody. He traumatized his brothers, he traumatized his aunts, but he knew that this was a safe haven for him. Nobody would look for him there. And he had been back since he was a kid. And he shows up and really freaks out the aunts and demands that they're going to stay there. They're going to turn their grandfather's old lab, the chemistry lab, into an operating room so that Dr. Einstein could give him a new face. But he had this vendetta against his brother, right? He wanted to kill him.
Right. Yes, he wanted his brother dead.
He was always the good kid, and everybody loved him, and everybody hated Jonathan.
Yes.
Right. And so they show up with a dead body in the backseat of their car. The aunts already have a dead body
Oh.
in the window seat.
Oh, in the window, yes, yes, yes.
Right. And yeah, they're arguing whether it's number 12 or number 11. Like, well, no, you can't count that other one because he had a heart attack before we poisoned him.
Yes. Poison wine. I love that. And I love the
elderberry wine.
Yeah, the way, and that's what as I said, I'm focusing on the humor because I just love that, where the wine is introduced as its own character and it floats around the set.
Yes, and they're about to drink it,
Yeah.
right? And they'll say, don't drink that, not that wine.
No, and they would, during the movie, you would forget about the wine, and then someone would reach to grab it, and they would remove it out of their possession and move it somewhere else, and this wine would just float around. And these are little details I love that I miss in movies today. Making something, just coming out of the box, making it fun. Like, I know you said corny. But it's something, it's like watching a child in the park and remembering what it was like to be a child. That's the type of humor.
Full circle moment. That, I think, is what the whole sexy Halloween for adults is about, because we don't allow ourselves to play like children anymore. And Halloween is the way for us to put on costumes, throw all caution to the wind, and be somebody with a group of friends,
right?
Or in your case, strangers, that we can't be in our real life, in our normal non-play day-to-day world, right? And so there's this sort of irreverence. There's this coming out of the shell kind of moment with Halloween for adults that allows us to play in a way that we should play, and it should be irreverent. It should be political.
Well, here's a little bit of nostalgia. Do you remember that show? I remember as a kid, it was called Beauty and the Beast, with Ron Perlman.
Oh yes.
And I loved it because one of the only days he could feel free was on Halloween. This character,
right?
And he would come out of the sewer wherever he lived, and he would romance the woman of his surface love. And I always loved it because it was just so romantic that one day he could be free and he could just be him. And I think maybe that you're right. That's what Halloween really allows people to do, is to play that character that maybe they're hiding inside, to come outside. And
to be free.
To be free. To be free and having fun. And so Halloween's important, but we should be really doing that daily. We don't have that pent-up energy you wait till all year round.
Well, we have Carnival, we have Fat Tuesday and Mardi Gras and all that stuff where we do the same thing. There are points, and they are tied to religion, aren't they? I mean, this is just before All Souls Day is Halloween.
Yes, it is.
Right? Or is it All Saints Day first?
I don't know.
You're the Catholic in the house.
I'm Catholic, but I couldn't tell you shit about it. I don't know.
Okay, well, I think it's All Saints Day. And it's just before this religious holiday where it's all about the saints and saintliness. Yeah. Let's pull out all the stops and be as irreverent and raunchy and out of the box as we can be, much the same way Mardi Gras and Carnival are.
Well, yeah, right? Just like in in the Caribbean culture, we have Caravana. In Toronto, they call it Caravana, and in the Caribbean, it's Carnival. You dress up, and it was made to make fun of the masters dress up in masters' clothes and kind of let loose and kind of make fun of those who were enslaving them. A day to release. So it was kind of, we have that moment where, that, because I'm assuming even back in those days, those days where man owned man in that deep sense that you wanted to have break free and go, boy, I just need one day where I can just be loose and not have to worry about the consequences. And yeah, maybe that's exactly what it's all about. Yes, feel free. Right?
I think that's what Halloween is about.
Right.
And this movie is really interesting because the aunts in their innocence felt free to help these. So they're not like murderous serial killers. They're not like that. They're not like Jeffrey Dahmer fucking them and eating them, you know, putting them in their cakes. And no, these old men, they advertise for a room to rent in their house.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Right, and these old men answer the ad, and if these men say that they're all alone in the world, that they're bitter, they're angry, they're sad, they're depressed, they're all alone, the sisters give them this elderberry wine that has arsenic and cyanide and, you know, all this cocktail, and kill them as a mercy.
Yeah, to save them from their sadness.
They're not happy. They're old. They're at the end of their life. They can't break through. They can't have a change of lifestyle, or you know, they're never going to find happiness on this earth. And so they usher them across the threshold with grace. And that's how they do a little service. They bury them in the basement. And of course they tell Teddy, their nephew, that he's digging locks for the Panama Canal. And then, we have another yellow fever victim. You know, let's take it down. Right? And then they all dress in their black and they go down with their hymns and they give them a proper Christian burial.
Yes, yes.
So,
I remember when they couldn't bury
Dr. Einstein show up with their body, and they discover this hole in the basement that just is the right size for a body, and they take Mr. Spinalzo, the guy that they killed, put him in the window seat, and it's one of those timing things where, you know, the guy that the aunts killed, Teddy takes him down to the basement, and almost in the same moment, they come through the window with Mr. Spinalzo and put him in the window seat.
Right.
Then they discover the old man dead in the basement, and they're like, well, we're going to just put him in the same grade. They won't mind.
What? Yeah, they can't have that, though.
They won't mind. And the aunts were like, no way are we going to have a stranger in our basement. So, and then the police are kind of these comedic foils. They come in and they're like oblivious, and they think everything's crazy.
I love that whole scene where Cary Grant's sitting in the chair and he's still what is that word? Muzzled or
well, yeah, because he's describing a play that he saw where the guy was idiotic and there were two killers in the house. So he didn't believe them, and he sat in the chair and the guy gagged him with a.
That's it. He's gagged and he has the answers to what's going on, but there's always some reason why they haven't ungagged them yet, and the police are saying, well, you know what, since you look like the character or you're playing the part, let me just leave you as that character while I explain to you what I would like to see happen in this play.
The play that I'm writing. Exactly.
It's cute. It's cute to watch because it's, like I said, it's very innocent it's innocent humor. And like I said, it's like watching a child play and just going, oh, I remember the days when humor was innocent and it was, you know, it was simple. And, you know,
it's a very dark story about these
very dark story. Very dark
people.
Story.
And then they find out that Jonathan, their nephew, has killed a dozen people, and they're even. And so there's this competition all of a sudden, right?
Everybody's
got one more, and I beat you, right?
You got everybody with their secrets, which is very synonymous of the energy that we're in now in Halloween about secrets. You got the two lace. The old lace got a secret of killing. You got the brother who wants the other brother dead. That has a a secret. And then they have the people who don't need to. Who are they're trying to hide the brother's mental mindset. The one who kept saying charge, Teddy Roosevelt. He had to keep that secret away from everybody else. So everybody's trying to live in this world that is underlying. Everybody has a secret, and it's just funny to just watch. And it's almost like, as I said, it mirrors life, right? Isn't it? You know, some people are living in that energy of, when will it be revealed? Will it be revealed?
Magnified. That's what I love about movies, and this movie in particular, is that they take these simple characters. I mean, they're not very complex, any of them.
No.
But they magnify them to the degree that it becomes like almost unbelievable, but in a good way. You know, there's something about a fantasy that allows the audience to suspend their disbelief, right? That you believe what's happening. But this one is so unapologetically, don't suspend your disbelief. This is an unbelievable story.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable story.
Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride, right?
Right.
So in the end, you know, everything comes right. And you know, I love a happy ending like that. I never quite understood with the opening credits.
Right.
Like it's all about witches and brew and jack-o'-lanterns and all this stuff. And it really isn't Halloween.
No, really, it's more mysterious.
Story.
It's more mysterious than Halloweenish or whatever. I don't even know what I mean. Halloween is Halloween, I guess. There were no real costumes, unless you want to take it into the fact that everybody was wearing a mask, so to speak. Everybody was wearing a mask, and everybody was everybody was pretending to be something that they weren't, or like I said, hide a secret. And in that vein, it was definitely a Halloween, because even for, you know, as we segue into the mental health moment of the show, is that, you know, masks are good for a while if you're trying to impress somebody, but at one point in time you got to remove them, right? You've got to see the truth of the matter. You got to be seen for who you are so you can be comfortable and live this life. And I think that movie is like, you know, you can hide behind your mask, but eventually it's a lot of work to hide it. It's a lot of work to, you know, but it's even funnier too with the old laces, or, you know, the old women who they actually tell the truth. They go, yeah, we got buried.
They're not hiding there.
Yeah,
I mean, they're like the only ones not wearing a mask.
Yeah, you know, but it's right out there. And I guess maybe that's the mask that it's so unbelievable that you don't believe it, even if it's
the mask that they wear is to protect Teddy. Right? Because I think they're even asked at one point, why don't you tell him that he's not Theodore Roosevelt? But he's so happy being Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah,
you want to protect him, and they don't want to send him to a mental institution.
No,
because they think that he would be all alone and he wouldn't feel safe.
But didn't they end up going with them? Didn't they end up going?
That was the stipulation, that if he was going to go to the, because the neighbors complaining about his bugle that he was always
he's every week.
So yeah, he'd come out of his blow a bugle, make an announcement, and go back in. Very funny physical comedy. And the neighbors were complaining. And of course, when Cary Grant's character, Mortimer Brewster, discovers the guy that the aunts killed in the window seat, he automatically assumes that it's Teddy because of his mental illness. Right. And the aunts are just like, well, no, that has nothing to do with Teddy. He's one of our gentlemen. He's like, what? Right? but they, you know, and so he wants to put a mask on them. Right. By covering it up to make it look like it was Teddy's mental illness that caused the death of this guy and the others. Yeah. And so he's running around. He's just been married. The poor new bride is waiting to go to frickin' Niagara Falls. Right. You know, she doesn't know what the hell is going on. He thinks he's going insane. He tells her, insanity runs in my family. You do not want to marry me. I just don't think we should be, you know, making babies because I don't want to continue this line. Of course, he finds out later he's adopted, right? So yeah, he's adopted. He doesn't have that family craziness. But you know, but in the end, he does get all the signatures on the document for Teddy to be institutionalized. And the aunts say, well, we're not sending him unless we go too. No. And then poor little Mr. Witherspoon, played brilliantly by Everett Horton, one of my favorite character actors of that time. Mm-hmm. He's oh no, we don't. We never admit sane people,
Right.
And so now Mortimer has to convince this guy that the aunts are crazy too, and it's this whole there are 13 bodies in the cellar, Like, there are 13 bodies in the cellar. They're just being honest. And then Cary Grant's behind him going, woo.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's convinced now that they're crazy, and happy ending. They get to go to the institution with Teddy to live out their days. So, no more little old men are going to get killed. And the police do end up recognizing Jonathan, and he gets taken away. Little Mr. Einstein, who is so lovable, Dr. Einstein, he signs the paper for the aunts to be admitted because it had to be signed by a doctor, and he's a doctor. So he signs it. And then the cops are on the phone saying, okay, describe the accomplice. And they describe Peter Lorre. Yes. And he's just like, take me away. He's putting his hands up with the cups and everything. And they're like, thank you so much for your help, doctor. Take off. Bye. He's just like, I can't believe it. I'm out of here. And he runs away, right? So I love that he got saved. I think that's a very beautiful piece of writing right there, that he's been bullied by Jonathan to do all the things that he did, and he's sort of gone along for the ride. He's just sort of whatever. He's drunk most of the time, whatever. And so I don't know. I would love to see a part 2 of what happened. You always
want to see a part 2.
That's my thing. That's my segment. Part 2. You should write it, Dr. Einstein. Right? Arsenic and Old Lace Part 2, Dr. Einstein.
The amount of part 2s you have us writing already, we've got work to do.
I got a career ahead of me that I did not plan on with classic.
Well, Henry C is my co-host. I gotta say, what was the trick and the treat of the movie for you?
I think that's why it's a Halloween movie.
Right.
It's a trick and a treat. It's all about tricking, right?
Right.
So, and this is a breakdown of who's wearing what mask, right? So Cary Grant, Mortimer, he's wearing the mask of being a writer that's totally against marriage.
Yes.
He's also a theater critic, right? Conveniently. And I think in the play, he's just a theater critic and a playwright. So he's now wearing the mask of, I can't let anybody know that I'm getting married because I'll be the laughing stock. Everybody knows me as being this perpetual bachelor, right?
Right.
So that's part of the trick. I think it's also a trick to his new wife,
right?
Because she's waiting to go to Niagara Falls. She's getting all dolled up. She's getting her bag packed and everything. She lives on the other side of the graveyard. She has to tell her father that they've eloped, right? And of course, the cab driver is also tricked because he's out in front of the house the entire movie, waiting to take them to wherever to get to Niagara Falls. I don't know why he doesn't just say fuck it and take off, but he's sort of tricked the whole time. And I think that Teddy is a big treat. I think the aunts and Teddy and the police are the treats of the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Jonathan is coming in as a trick.
Right.
Well, Dr. Einstein's a treat too. And of course, I think it's a trick or treat movie. I think everybody.
Well, I think the treat for me was, like I said, I've always been very used to see Cary Grant as a love interest in a very different way, and to see him doing the physical comedy is a treat.
That is a treat, and he's so gorgeous in this movie too. That when he falls over the chair and he's got his ass up in the air, and it's just just lingering there, calling to you, saying, "Oh!" I love that moment. But we'll do other Cary Grant movies.
But I love it.
He did a lot of screwball comedies in the 30s, so we'll have to visit some of those Cary Grant screwball comedies. He was really well known for that before he got into the dashing romantic kind of guy. But go ahead.
And the trick, I'm finishing what I started. The trick of the movie.
Go on.
The trick was to
We trick or treat.
Trick or treat is the trick of the movie is to really just relax and enjoy the comedy as it was. Just enjoy it. Let the movie happen for you so you can see. Because as I said, I think that in as I said, the joy of the movie for me, because maybe it's because I'm in some, in the outside world of the movie. It's just like it gets a little stressful sometimes living, but this movie really lightens it. It really gives you a break outside of yourself, and just kind of go, oh, well, look at humor, look at Cary Grant. He's a memory. He's no longer with us. Just these little things of what we used to be, and I think that's for me. That's the movie lesson that I'm going to take away from this week is just to allow things to happen in our life and enjoy the essence of it, and try to change it or judge it. Just enjoy it. So that's my lesson. Enjoy life. Let the joy of it roll over you. Don't even remember what it was. Remember how it is now, and just apply the innocence to the moments that we're in. How's that?
I love that. And you've heard of this Jeffrey Dahmer film that's on Netflix or something, right?
Yeah, I'm boycotting it. I don't even want to.
This is another serial killer movie,
right?
That shows us that everything can be made light of. We tend to be too serious, and
right.
If we can find the lightness in even the darkest places,
right,
I think that's a gift of our humanity to be able to do that, to be able to.
We have to. We must. Every one of us. I think everyone carries that seed of darkness, and unfortunately, situations in life will allow you to grow that seed. But we all have to be compassionate, because not all of us have the opportunities to disable that seed. We don't have that opportunity. Some of us have to just deal with what we have and just hope to God it doesn't become weeds of darkness.
I know that seed becomes a weed real quick.
It really, humor and like movies like this who remind us the simplicity of what the power of humor can do if we just open ourselves with it.
Right.
That can definitely take out the darkness and we just focus on that stuff. Focus on the good stuff. Yes, bad stuff happens, Jake, just like in the movie, just like those old laces. They're killing people, bury them in the basement, but they still are capable of holding a house, cooking food, getting dressed. They're living life,
having a service. They're doing Christian charity.
They still get men coming over to their houses, and they compassionately take them out of life. Hey, they're happy.
They're happy, bless their heart. And listen, disclaimer moment.
Right.
There's nothing funny about murder.
No.
Murder's not funny.
No.
Murder's not funny. But
it's not funny.
But the situation around it can be funny.
It can be.
Mel Brooks said, I'm not getting the quote right, but it's something like, I'm walking down the street and I stub my toe. That's not funny. I'm walking down the street.
Right.
I fall into an open sewer and die. That's funny.
That's
right. I mean, there are ways to make not to say that murder is funny or that it's something that's not. I mean, it's shocking no matter who it happens to. But this is a fantasy world, and to be able to look at something with lightness of being,
you have to. Life is very dark.
I mean, make a musical comedy about Jeffrey Dahmer, and I'm there, front row.
You know what I don't know, you know what, this is a whole other conversation. I'm not all about promoting the Jeffrey Dahmers of the work. He shouldn't get no movie. Fuck him. His victims, fuck him and his notoriety. Who cares?
True serial killers, like real ones, should not get.
They should
make,
be able
make
to
one up. Make up a fantasy serial killer.
Yeah, make up something else, because I've heard things and kids and people and in these crazy messed up world that we're living in. And goes, man, I want to be a serial killer so I can get my name out there. What? No. There are beautiful voices out there who are not eating people or killing people who need to be amplified.
That's absolutely right. That's absolute, but they don't make for good Halloween costumes.
Well, you know what? You can dress up as me and be QueenB Divine for Halloween.
No, because I'm get accused of blackface. What do you think of that?
You know what? Oh my God!
What about appropriating culture? Like if I were to wear a big sombrero, or if I were to dress up like a geisha, or or a Native American, indigenous person. What do you think of all that?
It is such a very odd area. Everybody slams that so differently and takes it personally. And then I get it. If I saw blackface, when our Trudeau, our prime minister, dumbass, I'm saying it, dumbass, constantly puts blackface on, whether he was younger, he didn't think about it. I know he wasn't educated. I don't know what it is. But I think it just shows to the person doing it how ignorant and stupid and uneducated they are. But it's not his responsibility to deflect our reaction. If he wants to put it on, or anybody wants to put it, that's what you want. That's what you want. You know what I mean? Like everything can't be. We just can't take everything for what it is. I know the history of blackface. I know what it means. There are clowns that put on whiteface. There's so many different reasons and just to assume that someone, I would, if I see someone with blackface, I don't assume that they're racist. I just look at them and go, you're so fucking stupid. Like I just
And isn't that part of Halloween, is just to be stupid? I mean, that's kind of part of that's all
I don't get all weirded out and go, oh my God, it's racism. You're bad. And that, you know what? If that's what you think you need to be doing, then that's on you.
That's like when Whoopi Goldberg came out at the Oscars dressed like Queen Elizabeth I in whiteface.
If that
she got a lot of shit for that. She got a lot of shit for that.
Yeah, we're so hung up with trying to perfecting the human experience that we forget the human experience is about the experience. We
forget that it's about the human.
Thank you. We forget all about that. You see, you know what? Like, you know what? You can say what you want. Like, sure, the prime minister, he puts blackface and that means this. But when we've watched movie where we've seen black people put on blackface themselves, and it's a part of artistry and performance art, and they're doing something. Yeah, it's a commentary. It's a story. It's something. How do we decipher whose blackface is more educational and justified because of who do we do this to? If people want to do what they do it. It's the same thing. If a man puts on a woman's garment, we get all bent out of shape. If that's what the fuck you want to do, you fucking do it. I just say, do what makes you happy, because anything, this life, it'll get to you. And as long as you're not trying to kill anybody, I think you're pretty safe. Just express you and not mind your own business. Be safe out there, blah, blah, blah. But if we are going to be upset about blackface and not be upset about little kids being taken by men and doing horrible things, we've got issues.
Yeah.
We've got other things to be thinking about instead of someone.
That's right. And I think that Halloween can be political. I think you can
whatever.
And whatever, people dressing up like presidents and prime ministers and dead queens. And, I mean, I think, I don't know, this is just my perspective, but I think that we need to get rid of the Halloween police to say, these are the forbidden costumes of the year.
That's so stupid. That's
so stupid. Just let people do what they do, except let's protect the children. Let's guide the children.
Well, yeah, always guide the children.
Make sure that we are having the conversation of fantasy versus reality with children, and why some costumes are okay, why they're not. Some of them for kids.
I think the day that we can start arguing about blackface and even an N word or the any word or any kind of derogatory is when every child has a plate of food in front of them, clothes on their back, and a roof over their head. Then we can start arguing about little things like who put a Halloween mask on who. Until every child has that basic necessity, then I don't care if Trudeau wants to put blackface on you. Go ahead. You're the one that looks like an idiot. That's up to you. But I have a journey in my life to make sure, and you too, like listening to, if you tune into our show and you want more of us, you can check out Henry C. He has a podcast of the Lost Travelers podcast, and he, on his very own site, he does things that help children, not only not around the world, that people contribute to help kids find shelter, those are the things I want to put my energy to. I don't got time to get up and see Trudeau on Twitter doing something and put my energy towards that stuff. I have things that are more important, like I said, what Henry C's doing, helping children become better versions of themselves so they have better opportunities so they can make the world a better place.
Well, and likewise, QueenB's podcast. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Right? The cure is the conversation. It's about mental health and keeping in check how we respond to the world around us, right? So Trudeau or anybody else can put on whatever costume they want. It's up to us to react to it or not. And if we all sit back and say, that's stupid. That is so stupid. I love stupid.
Right.
I love stupid. We talked about corny comedy with Arsenic and Lorre. It's stupid comedy, but it makes us laugh and it clicks us out of our seriousness. Everyone's so fragile these days. Everyone's offended by everything. When are we going to change that? We weren't like that. I mean, this whole political correctness bullshit, I'm sorry, but
cancel culture.
We weren't so politically correct in the 70s and 80s.
Exactly. I think because of my life, of where I came from, I used to listen to people, and I really got onto the term of first world problems. I'm like, really? What is that? What we're arguing about today? We got stuff to deal with, and this is what we're dealing with. And I think that even in this movie, it brings light to, like, yeah, there's some deep stuff buried in the garage, in the basement or the attic. There's deep stuff in all of our mental psyches, but we don't have to let that take over us. We can still have a little fun.
I just had this. You just opened this up, this whole portal of epiphany, right? The metaphor of the bodies buried in the basement,
right,
and the operating room in the attic. That we change our face, that we wear the mask, we overthink, right? And what's in our foundation?
Right.
What bodies are buried in our foundation?
Nice.
Right? Ooh, I love that. I think that's a great note to end this episode.
I think that's great. Yes.
Listen, everybody. Happy Halloween. Have a safe.
Happy Halloween.
Drugs in my candy. I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, don't put.
Do not. Disclaimer. Do not put drugs in candy. Candy is a drug. Sugar is 8 times more addictive than cocaine. Stop it with the sugar.
But have a little fun.
Give them a ribeye. Give them a chicken leg. Here, kid, have a chicken leg. Right?
Oh, and you know what? Be kind out there. Be kind.
Always. Be kind and rewind. Yeah. See you next Monday.
On QueenB Divine.
Will be.
I don't know. I never know. I don't know why you asked me. I never fucking know. I
know we never freaking fracking. Okay, well, look in the undercarriage because that's
give
what
me undercarriage. Surprise!
this has been a crazy week for me. My little tiny village here in Spain is having this huge festival, and so I've been just sort of out of tune. You've been out of tune.
Well, I'm looking for a new place to live, so I'm kind of out of tune.
That's right.
Yep.
Buffs, if you know of a place.
In Nanaimo, British Columbia, Vancouver.
Put it in the undercarriage in the comments for QueenB and her husband.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know.
You never know.
But QueenB, my sister, you can always come to Spain. I've got 3
I
guests.
can go to Spain, but
Come
if
to
I
Spain.
can't make it to Spain, I live on Vancouver Island. I would love a nice little place. We're good people. We're definitely good people. Check us out. Anyways, take care out there and don't be too scary. Be kind. All that good stuff.
Have fun. Above all, be kind and have fun. Bye.
Bye.